Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Todd Klindt's Sharepoint podcast number 233, recorded live and safely outside of the Blizzard Blast Zone, but recorded live on January 26th, 2015. I am your host and newly minted 41-year-old Todd Klindt, and this whole thing is brought to you by the folks at Rackspace. And you can find out all about the great SharePoint things that we do at sharepoint.rackspace.com. So go out there now. I have it on good authority that in the next couple of weeks-ish, there might be something new coming to sharepoint.rackspace.com. It's not going to be your father's sharepoint.rackspace.com anymore. So go out there now, look at it the way that it is, and it is stunning the way that it is now. But you will even appreciate the new look if such a thing's to happen, if rumors are to be believed. When the new version comes out, you will appreciate it even more once if you've freshly looked at the old version. So go out to sharepoint.rackspace.com today, go out next week, and we'll see what those guys are cooking up back there. 4 production notes. First, I got to get my slides to go. There we go. So 4 production notes. Last week I got out pretty quickly. I was on the road, but I think I got everything out pretty well. Was going over the notes and stuff today. Lori alerted me that this is my 100th episode on YouTube. Now, I didn't check that. I trust her. I didn't check her work, but that's pretty cool. So for those of you who've been here since the beginning, first off, you're troopers. You're long-suffering troopers. When I first started this, I broadcasted on a platform called Stickcam because that's where all the cam girls that I followed were at. That's not true. But there were a bunch of people who were broadcasting on Stickcam and had like a little chat room and things like that. And then I went to the New Media Expo a couple of years ago, met some great folks there, and saw a company, Ustream, that was doing streaming and really liked what they were doing. They had a great production tool and all that. And I was smitten. It did all kinds of great things that I wanted to do, though I never actually used that tool to broadcast, oddly enough. But switched over to Ustream a couple of years ago and was happy with that. And then was just kind of watching the way things are going. Ustream got kind of clunky and switched over to YouTube. And so I guess from what Lori says, apparently I did that 100 episodes ago. But it's been great, and I can't believe it's been 100 episodes. That's been too. So my notes say 100 episodes ago was October of 2012. I don't know about that. I'll have to look it up. But YouTube, I think, has been a pretty good platform. We kept the chat in the chat room the same way that it was with Ustream, but the YouTube platform has been really good. And for those of you that are thinking about doing podcasts, I highly recommend the YouTube platform and doing it with Hangouts on Air. All that great stuff. Great broadcasting platform, great publishing platform. Have been pretty happy with that. So thanks to everybody who's made all that happen. Now for my things, my topics. I wanted to bring something and I forgot. I got to run upstairs and get something. I will be right back. I promise. Don't go away. Talk amongst yourselves in the chat room. I'll edit this out and post. Be right back. Going right now. I'd love to stay in chat, but I gotta go. Hey, miss me? Gotta breathe here for a second. Okay, so as I mentioned in my notes, when I did the introductions tonight, I am a recently minted 41-year-old. My birthday was last week. And the fun TK charity drive happened, and it's funny. The lag apparently is about how long it takes me to run upstairs or run back down. That's funny. But anyway, we have a couple of traditions around my birthday here at the old podcast. One of them is you folks open up your wallets, open up your hearts, and donate money to charities, and that. Just makes me all weepy inside. But the other tradition that we have is you guys get a big card and everybody signs it, and then Lori mails it to me after my birthday, so that she makes sure that I never get it on my birthday. So, true to form, My birthday was Wednesday. I got the card sometime after that. I was gone, so I didn't know. But I wanted to bring the actual card. She sent me a picture, as we often do. She doesn't send me the card. She sends me a picture. I show the picture. But this is the actual card. So I wanted to show that I actually got it, and then I forgot to bring it downstairs with me. So and the line, keep opening. You won't believe how big it is. I've used that line myself. So we got that, all that, and then I'm gonna have to step away. Oh geez, oh gosh, I can't get far enough away. So that is the card. Hopefully I'm not covering up the mic here. And that's all the people that signed it, and that's these people right here. These are all the people that contributed, and they contributed to these charities here. It's the same stuff I showed you last week, but look. This reminds me of a fish that I caught once. So thanks to everybody who contributed to that, and even thanks to you guys that didn't. I'm happy either way. But thanks go out to Lori for organizing all that, and Dan Usher for inspiring it all these years ago, and all of the folks, a bunch of the folks that donated are in the chat room right now. Again, thanks so much for all that. We raised over $2,000. I forget the total. Lori types total in the chat room for me. We raised $2,145 for charity. That is, clap for yourselves right now. Wherever you're at, just clap for yourselves. You deserve it. $2,000. That is insane. Crazy talk. Insane. And so, so thanks for all that. But I wanted to get that, wanted to get some airtime for that, and I forgot it. I set it out upstairs and forgot it. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about, this is a fun story. So last week, you guys will remember, we talked about at CES a couple of weeks ago, Intel announced little HDMI stick computers. So they're little computers, roughly twice the size of a USB thumb drive, but it's a full computer. It's run a Windows 8.1. It's got an Intel processor, all that stuff. They announced those at CES, and if you remember, I was kind of mocking them. I was like, you know, Intel says they're not going to have these things out till March. These things have been all over the internet for like 6 to 8 months. I've seen them on Alibaba, all kinds of places. So I ordered one. And there are a couple different models out there. I ordered one called the MeeGo Pad, one I'd seen before. It was $109. Full-featured little computer thing. Again, the same specs as like these Windows tablets, except it doesn't have a battery and doesn't have a screen. The one that I ordered was $109 and came with what they called a trial version of Windows, because Microsoft gives discounts on the version of Windows for tablets, makes it essentially free. They charge like $20 and they give a $20 discount. And but they haven't done that for these little stick computers yet. So the one that I ordered came with a trial version of Windows, but I wasn't worried. It's probably going to put Windows 10 on it anyway. I've got MSDN, it's all good. But anyway, last week I was all very excited about this. I ordered it, I was waiting for it to come, and it couldn't come quick enough. Well, when I was in San Antonio last week, it came. So this weekend, I ripped into it like a rabid dog, wanted to play with it, wanted to get it set up, wanted to try all kinds of fun things with it. But as I've done with the last couple of tablet purchases and stuff that I have done, I did an unboxing video for it. So got the lights out, you know, charged them all up, got cameras, got my mic, got everything set up. Spent like an hour getting everything set up and testing things, and so I could do this unboxing video. So I get the little guy, and well, here it is. I'll show it to you. This is what it looks like. So this is $109, and it is a full computer. So it's an Intel Atom Z3735F processor, 2 gig of RAM, 32 gig of storage. It has a full-size USB port here, and move Windows around so I can see what you guys are seeing. It's got a full USB port here. It's got a micro USB port for power, so it's a 5 volt power, 2 amps, so you got to use one of the special deals, but micro USB charger, power button, blue light there to let you know when it's on, and then on this side we've got a micro SD slot and then another USB port. That's a USB on the go port, and it's just Windows, and it's all kinds of fun. All the, you know, again, it's full Windows. So I got the thing, got everything set up, plugged it in, and the first thing I tried to do is use it with this monitor behind me. And this monitor behind me does not have an HDMI port. It's got VGA and DVI. But those of you that have played with these things before know that you can get a little adapter that converts HDMI to DVI. The video and DVI and HDMI is exactly the same. So I set that up, but it wouldn't trigger this monitor. The monitor kept saying there was no signal or anything. So I could tell that the light was on, I could tell it was working, but there was nothing going on. So I hooked it up to one of these monitors here. And again, I moved everything and set it down and did all that kind of stuff and pointed at this monitor here. And I had a hub hooked up to it, a USB hub, so that I had a wired keyboard, a wired mouse. I had wired Ethernet hooked up to it because the USB hub that I use has an Ethernet jack on the end. Handiest thing ever. Plugged it in and powered the box on. The little dealio here, powered it up. Now, I've done a bunch of these videos lately, so I'm used to getting like the Windows, welcome to Windows, pick your colors, log into Hotmail, all that junk screen. Didn't get any of that. It just popped right into the desktop. Logged me in as administrator, which was kind of weird. Didn't expect that. But, you know, trial version of Windows, didn't know what to expect. So, I'm doing this unboxing video, and I'm recording all this, and I'm talking through it all. And I'm talking about how this thing has an Intel processor. It's an Atom, but it's okay. It's got 2 gig of RAM. But I was talking about how you'd be surprised how well Windows works with 2 gig of RAM. So I go down to the taskbar, I right-click and try to open up the Task Manager, and I get a dialog box that says Task Manager has been disabled by my administrator. Well, that seemed odd because I hadn't actually set anything up on it. I was logged in as the local admin. I had checked that. And I just couldn't understand why they would disable that. But if somebody goes out and buys one of these, they're probably going to have the same experience. So again, during this video, I go, well, that's no problem. I know how to fix that. That's a registry setting. So I go to Windows R, run, type regedit, get a little dialog box that says registry editing has been disabled by the administrator. So now I'm starting to get a little worried because this just isn't what the normal out-of-the-box experience is for computers. This is a little weird. So, and again, cameras are rolling and I'm riding right along with it. So then I show some stuff. I show the storage, I show the disks, all that kind of stuff. And then one of the things I wanted to show was how recent the machine was, how recent it had been patched. So I go to Windows Update, and it churns through, and it comes to the update screen, and it says, there are 40-some important patches to install, 500 and some meg download, and then that dialog box kind of like re-wiped itself and said, all updates are installed, no updates left. And I'm like, something's not right. Whoa. So that was with the desktop version of the Windows Update app. So I popped over to the Metro one and ran it, and it worked. And so I ran the updates and all that, rebooted it. When the box came back up, it did some installing some things, rebooted again, and then it came back up with a Windows Defender error. Turns out this little innocent-looking guy had been infected with a computer virus, a worm more specifically, the Win32 Salady.au worm. So the whole reason I couldn't open up Task Manager is because the worm had disabled it, and the reason I couldn't open up the registry editor was because the worm had disabled it, and the reason it wouldn't let me update the patches was because the worm had disabled it. So for an hour or so, this thing sat on my local network, just infected up one side and down the other with a damn computer virus, right out of the box. So then as soon as that thing popped up, I'm like, you're killing me. So I pulled the network adapter out so that it wouldn't infect anything. So after that happened, I went through, I scanned all my boxes here at home. Nothing else got infected that I could tell. The whole time that I had that thing going, I never logged into Hotmail, never logged into any of my local stuff here at home. I never typed any passwords or usernames. So I think I'm probably in the clear, but doggone it, it came infected right out of the box. So that made me think, what do I have to do with this thing before I can trust it again? Because as we're going to talk later in the show tonight, since some new Windows 10 stuff came out, like if I just F-disk it and format it, do I trust it? Because under normal circumstances, I would, but that's not normal. So I don't know what to do. I emailed the company today. I have not heard anything back from them. I left a comment on their blog under the product. I have not seen whether that comment was approved or not. But yeah, that's the first time I've ever had that happen. It was just, and I looked at the type of virus that it was. It's a pretty nasty one. It apparently does all kinds of horrible things. So I just I don't know. I don't know what to make of all that. So if you were going to buy one of these, and I suppose I should take the link out of my notes from last week's Netcast podcast. If you were going to buy one of these, I'd hold off. I'd wait until the next batch. Or if it does, if you do buy one, before you put it on the network, fire it up and then just see if Task Manager comes up. If Task Manager comes up, you're probably fine. If it doesn't, you're probably not. So I'll probably, again, Windows Defender said that it caught it, but I'll probably grab Malwarebytes or something, because one of the things some variants of this use is a rootkit. So, it's just going to keep popping up. But yeah, that was a weird experience. I'd never had anything like that. But the thing's just so cute. I can't stay mad at it, but I just want to plug it in and play with it. And bad people. Yeah, free virus with every purchase. All right. Enough of my tale of woe. Something good that happened in the last week is something I've been waiting for a couple of months now. Released last week was an official Dropbox client for Windows Phone. If you remember back in November, Microsoft and Dropbox talked about how Dropbox is going to get integrated into Office and all that. And one of the things that was going to happen as part of that was Dropbox was going to release an official Windows Phone client. It is official now. That came out last week. I've installed that on one of my Windows phones. It works, exactly as I'd expect it to. It looks like the other apps on the other platforms. Works pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with it. In the past, I've used other Dropbox clients for some of these platforms, and haven't thought much about it. But recently, last year at some point, there was another big Dropbox was hacked thread, and turns out Dropbox had not been hacked. As far as I know, Dropbox has never been hacked. But what had happened is some third-party Dropbox client, Fred's Bargain Dropbox clients or something, that guy got hacked. And because all these people had approved that guy's app to access their Dropbox, the people that hacked that guy, hacked Frank, were then able to get into all of his customers' Dropbox accounts. So when I saw that happen, that made me quickly reevaluate using third-party clients for Dropbox. So I stopped immediately, if not sooner. So I'm glad to see that there's an actual legitimate Dropbox client out there. I use OneDrive. I use OneDrive for business for stuff. Dropbox does a couple of things better, and so for now I'm sticking with Dropbox. So, but that's out there. So if you're a Dropbox enthusiast and you have a Windows Phone, you can go out to the Windows Phone store and find it, or there's links in the notes below. Okay, so as I talked a little bit about last week, on my birthday, January 21st, Microsoft had a big event out in Redmond where they talked a lot about the new Windows 10 things, and they talked about a bunch of stuff. I'm not going to talk about all of it, but I will talk about the things that I've played with and things that got me excited. The first is Windows 10. So as we all know, Windows 10 is in preview, has been for a few months now. And they released a new build of that. So if you're running Windows 10, there's a January preview build. You can get it through Windows Update, and depending on which ring you're in, the fast ring or the slow ring, you will get it trickled out, or you'll have to wait a little bit. But I forget which version that is. The new version now, I think I have it, but I'm afraid to say it because it's from memory. But I've got that running on a couple of boxes. Seems pretty stable. They did introduce some big changes in this build. So if you've been playing along with Windows 10, you're going to want to get this one sooner rather than later because it's got some big improvements. Cortana, maybe you've heard of her. Those of us who have Windows phones have been enjoying Cortana for a while. Cortana makes an appearance in Windows 10. Some of the changes to the start menu and the start screen show up in Windows 10, and there's just a bunch in this new build, in the January build. So check that out. Again, you can get that through Windows Update if you're currently running Windows 10. If you're not running Windows 10, but you've already signed up to be a Windows Insider, and boy, doesn't that just sound like 100 times cooler than it really is. You can go out to windows.microsoft.com and download the ISOs for fresh installations or things like that. So one of the boxes that I put this on had Windows 8.1. I downloaded the ISOs and installed Windows 10, the January preview from that. Free download. Again, if you're part of the Windows Insider preview, you can get that and download the ISOs, and then you can use it if you've got Windows deployment services or something. You can push Windows 10 out with that. I plan on putting it on one of my tablets here in the near future to see what that looks like, but you can grab that also. They talked a bunch about the technical features, but they also last week answered a bunch of non-technical questions, and some of the answers were kind of amazing. So Joanne in the chat room is saying it's 9926 is the build. My memory was telling me it was 9946, so I'm glad I didn't say something. So build 9926 is the January 2015 preview. And Joanne says it's stable. I say it's stable. 2 out of 2 people on this podcast say it's stable. I think we have quorum. I think it's decided. One of the questions that has been talked about a lot in the last few months is whether Windows 10 will be free. Now that's crazy to me. I've been in the software business for a while. Every time something new comes out, somebody complains that they can't get it for free because they just bought the old something. Happens all the time. And there's a lot of talk about Windows 10 being free. They revealed last week that you can get Windows 10 for free. Yeah. So what they've decided is anybody who is currently running a licensed copy of Windows 7 or 8 or 8.1 can get a free upgrade to Windows 10 on 2 provisions. Number 1, that they do it within a year of Windows 10's release. So won't be able to do this 5 years from now, but within the first year after Windows 10 comes out, if you sign up for Windows 10 and download Windows 10, it will upgrade your Windows 7 or Windows 8 boxes for free. That's the first thing. You got to do it within a year. The second thing, and this isn't so much something they're making you agree to, but it felt like something that you have to agree to. They mentioned during the announcement that if you install Windows 10 within the first year and do this free upgrade thing, they said we'll be keeping it current for the supported lifetime of the device. All right. So what this is OS as a service, sort of Windows as a service. So if you sign up for the Windows 10 free upgrade, you are agreeing to let Microsoft push out updates to your box. You're agreeing to not install updates, not install Windows updates. And this kind of scratches 2 itches that Microsoft has had for the last couple of years. Number 1, they've really wanted people to upgrade off of Windows XP, and they've really wanted people to upgrade off of Windows 7 to Windows 8. So by making this happen within the first year, they're forcing people to upgrade sooner rather than later. So that's kind of clever. The second thing is Microsoft catches a lot of hell when Windows boxes get compromised because they're not up to date. And so this is the other thing. They're saying if you let us patch your box for free, or if you let us patch your box soon, you can have the OS for free. So I'm curious how that's going to work out. I like the idea. It's obviously free is better than not free. I'm a big fan of free, but I'll be curious to see how that works out. So that was one of the interesting things that grabbed me. So again, if you've got a Windows 7 box, I wouldn't buy Windows 8 at this point, because if you wait a couple of months, well, who knows, 6 months, 8 months, you're going to get Windows 10 for free. I saw somebody else on one of the forums that I frequent mentioned that, lamenting that they weren't doing this for Windows XP or Windows Vista users. My guess is the reason that they're not is, number 1, XP is not supported anymore. XP is dead to them. But number 2, Windows 7 will upgrade in place to Windows 10. Windows Vista will not. Windows XP will not. So I think it was kind of a support thing. They just didn't want to have to fight all that stuff. So I guess the big thing, Windows 10 is free for Windows 7 and Windows 8 boxes within the first year. That was the first thing they announced. The next thing that they announced was that devices smaller than 8-inch displays will not get the desktop. So if you've got Windows 8 now, you've got Metro, Tiles, and all that funny business, and Metro apps and all that kind of stuff, but you can also go to the desktop, and then you can run desktop-y stuff, that we've been used to seeing for a while. And Windows 8 has kind of always had that dual identity thing. Last week they said that the machines smaller than 8 inches will not get the desktop on new installations. So there's a ton of questions around this, a ton of questions. One of them is, I've got this device right here. This is the Toshiba Encore Mini. It has a 7-inch display. It's running Windows 8.1. I currently have the desktop. If I upgrade this to Windows 10, will I lose the desktop? Because it's, 7's less than 8, all that deal. I went to public schools, but it's still the same. So Joe Belfiore from Microsoft, I think I'm mispronounced his name there, has said that if you upgrade, your experience will be the same. They will maintain your experience, which suggests to me that if your 7-inch device has the desktop with Windows 8, your 7-inch device will have the Windows desktop with Windows 10. So that seems to answer that question. The other question that I had was, is this an install time decision? When is this made? So for instance, I've got this Dell Venue 8 Pro. Now 8 inches and above gets the desktop, so that's not a big deal. But I've got this 7-inch device. What happens if I hook this up to my Dell Venue 8 dock and I hook a monitor up to it? So now it's a 7-inch device, but it's got a 23-inch monitor attached to it. Do I get the desktop? I don't know. And if I do get the desktop, what happens then if while I'm there I install a desktop app and I want to use it, and then I unhook my dock? Is there no way for me to get to that app now with just my 7-inch display? So there's a lot of questions about that. I haven't completely researched all those because I've only got the one device that falls under that. But I think you I think you can kind of see where they're going with this. They really want to get rid of the Windows desktop for small devices and portable devices, and this is just one way that they're going to do that. So I think, one of the things I'm going to try, maybe I will just wipe this thing and put Windows 10 on it with a fresh install and see what happens, because I think the January 2015 build has all that logic built into it. So we'll find out. If I do, of course, I'll report back to you guys and let you know. But some great Windows 10 stuff. Another sad thing that was announced last week is Microsoft officially put the final nail in the coffin of Windows RT. Windows RT, as you guys may remember, is the OS that runs on the Surface RT and the Surface 2. It is an ARM-based version of Windows, and it is locked down. You can't install your own apps on it. You can only install things from the Microsoft Store or Office, which they would have not allowed you to get to the desktop if Office was Metro at that point. But it's always kind of been this weird OS that they didn't know what to do with. I got 2 Surface RTs 2 years ago at TechEd. Thought they were great little devices. They were good for the walled garden thing. So they were kind of analogous to iPads. You didn't expect to run full Mac programs on an iPad. I didn't expect to run full Windows programs on the Surface RT. I've got a Surface RT that I used to listen to music and watch videos and stuff on. Works like a champ. But they never really found a good way. I think having the Surface and the Surface Pro, or the Surface RT and the Surface Pro look the same but run different OSs, I think it was really confusing for the marketplace. I think users just didn't know what to do. And RT was kind of stillborn, unfortunately. But now it's officially dead. So what Microsoft has said is that Windows RT devices will not get Windows 10. There will not be a Windows 10 version of Windows RT, but that many of the Windows 10 pieces of functionality will be included in an update for Windows RT. So we'll see what that means. If that means they're going to bring the start menu back for Windows 8.1 on Surface RT, I don't know. But so Surface RT is dead. If you were planning on going out and buying one of those Lumia 2520 Surface RT devices, I'd hold off. I wouldn't do that just yet. Probably not a great idea. And I think, honestly, what's going to happen, and people have been speculating about this for a while, is that the Pro version of the OS is going to start working better on smaller devices, lower resource devices like this Toshiba, and Windows Phone is going to start working on bigger devices, and I think they're going to kind of squeeze RT out, and I think that's what we're seeing now. Joanne in the chat room asked about an article that was posted at Ars Technica called "Every Windows 8 phone will get Windows 10, except the ones that won't." Yeah, that was kind of confusing. Basically, what Microsoft said was if your phone will run Windows Phone 8, that it will get upgraded to Windows Phone 10, but then there were a bunch of little things that didn't exactly jive up. So, for instance, they talked about how, you'll get Windows 10, you'll be able to do all the Windows 10 stuff except for the stuff that's hardware dependent. things like, you won't be able to shoot 4K video on a camera phone, on a phone or on a phone whose camera is not 4K. That was one of the examples they gave in that article. I expect my Lumia 830, which is right now dutifully counting how long I've been talking, it's going to get Windows Phone 10. My 520, my backup phone, I don't know about that. I should find out. A couple of weeks ago, a program showed up in the Windows Phone store that was like the Windows Insider or something. I forget what it, Windows Phone Insider. But a lot of people thought that maybe that was the Windows 10 version of the preview for developers. And I haven't heard much about that in the last couple of weeks. I haven't looked for that since last week's announcements. So maybe that's how we'll find out. Maybe that's how we'll get previews of Windows 10, Windows Phone 10. And I read somewhere, and I can't find the article now, that Windows Phone will no longer be called Windows Phone 8. It will just be Windows 10. So, but I couldn't find the article, so I didn't want to talk about it. But there I went and talked about it. But that does talk a little bit about how the lines are blurring between Windows and Windows Phone devices. Another thing they talked about last week was this idea of universal apps. You can, as a developer, you can write an app once, and it will work on Windows devices, Windows Phone devices, that kind of stuff. So this idea of not calling it Windows Phone so much anymore, calling it Windows 10, kind of lends itself well to not having to worry about that. Get a universal app, run it on your phone, run it on your tablet, run it on your desktop, doesn't matter. All right. So, and John Liu in the chat room there posted a link. I hope it's not a Rickroll. Yep, it's called Phone Insider. That's exactly the thing. So if you install this Phone Insider app on your Windows phone, it will install, and then when you try to log in, it will say, sorry, you don't have permission. Speculation is that you have to log in with a Microsoft account, like, Satya's account or somebody like that. But I've not had any Microsoft employees confirm that for me, unfortunately. But a lot of great stuff last week. I encourage you to go to windowscentral.com and thurrott.com and winsupersite.com. They've all got a bunch of articles about that. arstechnica.com. Peter Bright's written a bunch of stuff, and all those guys. So a lot of exciting stuff came out last week. I was at an internal Rackspace thing, and I missed a bunch of it, but it was all pretty good. One final thing that I wanted to talk about is they also talked last week about Office 2016. And in the vein of keeping things as confusing as possible as to what's running on what version of what is what, they talked about two different versions of Office 2016 that are going to be coming out. The first will be a touch version of Office, and I assume this is the thing they've been talking about for a few months now, called Gemini. And this is a touch-first version of Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all that kind of stuff. They said that this version will be available in the coming weeks for the Windows 10 preview folks. It'll be out there in the Windows Store. In coming weeks, sounds like a pretty short-term thing, with general availability being later this year. And I'm guessing they're probably going to try to hit the same time frame as when Office is updated in the fall. But again, it will be native touch, native tablet device stuff for Windows for Office stuff. Then they also talked about Office 2016, which is different. That is also coming, and that will be coming out. Office 2016 will be coming out in the last half of 2015, so I can only assume that's going to be the last week of December. It always seems to take as long as possible. But that's, desktop versions of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all that kind of stuff. And they talked about some of the stuff. The Office team has a preview video that you can look at. You can go out to blogs.office.com and see about all that. The reason I bring that up, number one, I use Office products every day. I live in Outlook like everybody does. I use Word for everything. So obviously I'll be impacted when the new version of Office comes out. But also, in most cases, SharePoint gets released about the same time that Office clients get released. So nobody said the word SharePoint. Nobody mentioned anything about it. But in the past, they came out around the same time. So I think we've already kind of heard that, but that's where that is. I had a couple of other topics I wanted to talk about tonight, but I think I'm going to save them till next week because I want to spend some time on them, and we're already at 35 minutes. One other thing that I wanted to talk about from last week, though, and I didn't research it too much, was Microsoft also released like these holograph lens things, kind of an augmented reality sort of thing. And again, I didn't read up much on it, so I don't want to talk a whole lot about it, but the pictures that I saw and the videos that I saw of it were pretty amazing. And it's, again, one of those goofy looking glasses that you wear, but it blends. It's not complete virtual reality. It doesn't obstruct your view of what's in front of you, but it augments it. So, well, like one of the videos that I saw was a guy standing in his living room, looking at his living room, but building Minecraft things inside of his house. So you could see, you could see his couch, you could see his coffee table, but then you could also see the Minecraft things that he was building. It was augmenting reality. So pretty cool looking. Apparently a bunch of that functionality is coming out in Windows 10, and so that's why it showed up last week. Again, I need to look at that more. I kind of forgot about that, but just crazy stuff out there. Microsoft, I've been doing Microsoft stuff exclusively for 15 years, that kind of stuff. Microsoft has always been made fun of for being, old and boring and all that. It's not boring anymore. The holographic stuff, there's all kinds of great things out there, and it's a pretty exciting time. I feel like, I've said it before, I feel like Microsoft has gotten their groove back, and this is just another great example. I'm looking forward to the next year or so, getting new versions of Windows and new versions of Windows Phone and Office and SharePoint and all that. It's a good time to be here. And it looks like there are some folks in the chat room. Naomi Moneypenny said that she has applied for the developer program for the HoloLens. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see what comes from that. And it's interesting also that coincidentally, the same time that Microsoft releases their new, augmented reality thing, Google essentially killed the Google Glass. They didn't kill the technology, but they killed the product. You can't go out and spend the $1,500 on Google Glass anymore. And I was talking to some of my friends about that last week, and I think the technology is sound, and I think there are a lot of great applications for it, both for just people on the street like myself, just being able to see augmented reality stuff and things like that, but also some great uses for verticals like surgeons and construction workers and all kinds of things where you're using your hands and you want to be able to see information and that kind of stuff. I think there's some great uses for it, but I think they never were able to win the PR battle. They never were able to get people past the idea that somebody's gonna have a thing on them that could be recording everything, video and audio, that's going on. And I think they just they never beat that perception issue, and I think that kind of killed the product. So but I like the technology. I saw the Google Glass a couple of times. Of course, it looked dorky as hell. You can't do anything cool wearing Google Glass. But the technology was really intriguing, and I'm kind of sad to see it go. But I hope it finds its way into something else. One other thing that I'm not going to talk about tonight, but will probably show up in one of my later netcasts, is some astute viewers have noticed that I'm wearing a Microsoft band. This technically is not my Microsoft band. This is Shane's Microsoft band. I stole it from him, but I've been wearing it for the last few days. I kind of wanted to wait a little while before I talked about it a lot because I kind of want to get a good feel for it. It's got interesting potential, and but so that we'll be talking about that on an upcoming podcast. So I think I hit my time mark pretty well. We're only sitting at 38 minutes, and all we've got left is the shameless self-promotion bits. So let's talk about that. The very first thing is in like 2 weeks. We will be at SP TechCon. Holy cow. And as I look in the chat room, Lori's going to be at SP TechCon. Laura's going to be at SP TechCon. I don't know who else. Who else in the chat? If you're in the chat room, raise your hand if you're going to be at SP TechCon. Yeah. So a whole bunch of folks, got all kinds of things going on. I talked to one of the organizers today, Katie, got a room scheduled for the podcast, so we'll be able to do a live one from there. If you're going to be at SP TechCon, come find me Monday night, sit in on this, we'll have it, we'll be doing it. Shane and I are doing 4 sessions. We're doing a SharePoint 2013 Administrator Skills session, upgrade, parts 1 and 2, so that's actually 2 sessions, that counts for 2, I checked. And then a troubleshooting SharePoint session. Got those 4 going on. We'll also be doing a lightning talk. That'll be there. We'll be doing the podcast. I'm going to be speaking at the San Antonio Sharepoint user group. I forget what night that is. I apologize. I should have that one handy, but I don't. There's going to be like a panel thing there. Okay, that is Tuesday night from 6:30 to 8. The San Antonio SharePoint user group, though it's in Austin, but still. So if you're going to be at SP TechCon, sign up for that. So going to be a busy week, as always. And somebody takes me up on this every single time at every single conference, so that's good. I'm glad. If you're at SP TechCon and you're a listener to the podcast or you read my blog or whatever, I beg you, come find me, introduce yourself, shake my hand, tell me who you are, tell me what you like. I like to meet my new people. I'm pretty approachable. So by all means, come find me at SP TechCon. I think Rackspace is going to have a booth there, and so come find that. I don't know if we're going to give away cool things. Maybe we'll give away some of these cute little HDMI stick computers. Very cute. You plug it into your HDMI port. It comes with Windows. It comes with all kinds of stuff. Maybe we'll give some of those away. Just put them in bowls. People can grab them. But SP TechCon. So yeah. Lori in the chat room is lamenting that slides were due today. I had most of my slides started today, so I've got a good solid one deck done. Good solid one of my 4 decks done. So that'll be good fun. I'm always looking forward to SP TechCon. Always have a great time there. Always good fun. And then in a couple of months, I will be at the SharePoint Evolutions Conference in London, England. That is April 20th through the 22nd, and I'm doing my 2 upgrade sessions there. So I like to think of my SP TechCon upgrade sessions as warm-ups, practice runs for the real one that will be at SharePoint Evolution. So that's April 20th through the 22nd. You can go to SharePointEvolutionConference.com, get yourself signed up for that. You will regret it if you don't. All right, folks. So we've got a bunch of things to look forward to in the upcoming weeks. We're going to talk about the band. I've got some SQL and SharePoint stuff to talk about. You'll find out the next story in the continuing saga of the Chinese trying to get pictures of my cat off of my network shares. So thanks, everybody. I will be back next week. Thanks to all the people in the chat room. Stick around. I'll be chatting with you for a while. And thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next week.